Clearfield Doctrine. All courts were dissolved in 2008 under the Clearfield Doctrine, then became registered companies on Dun & Bradstreet Company Search. When private commercial paper is used by corporate government, then government loses its sovereignty status and becomes no different than a mere private corporation. When governments enter the world of commerce, they are subject to the same burdens as any private firm or corporation. Note: under the Clearfield Doctrine, the courts are no longer government entities in that they are demanding private monies and must have a contract with you to compel performance. They are no more special as a normal business than your local shop on the high street. Government create and enforce civil laws, known as statutes, acts and legislation, created by the Bar Association, set up by Rothschilds, which are duty-bound to comply with the law of contract. The law of contracts requires signed written agreements and complete transparency. Cest QV Act 1666. London 1666, during the Black Plague and Great Fires of London. Parliament enacted an act behind closed doors called Cest QV Act 1666. This was done to control all cash and property. The unlawful act being debated was to subrogate the rights of living men and living women, meaning all living men and living women that are all true sovereign were declared dead or lost at sea. Parliament at that time, and like today, was operating in Admiralty law, the law of the sea. So you were declared lost or dead at sea. The state, London, took full custody of everybody and their property and put it into a trust. The state then became the fiduciary, a trustee, holding all titles to the living man and living woman, including property, until a living man or living woman comes back to reclaim their sovereign titles. He, she, can also reclaim damages done upon them and property. When capital letters are used anywhere in a name, this always refers to a legal entity, fiction, company, or corporation, no exceptions. John Doe or Doe Jane. You can take full control of the legal trust name, Mr., Mrs., and so on. These are the legal entity, fiction created and owned by the government whom created it. It is like owning a share in the stock market. You may own a share, but it is still a share of the stock. This is the bond that is attached to every individual living man, living woman, and their property. The legal system uses the legal name as they are after your bond and make you the trustee, make claim fraudulently over the legal name, and claim themselves as beneficiary of the name trust bond account. Legally, we are considered to be a fiction, a concept or idea, expressed as an all-capital letter name. That legal person has no consciousness. It is a juristic person. Ens legis, a name, word written on a piece of paper. Prove it to yourself by checking items given to you by the government. If your name is in capital letters, that means they are using it as a legal fiction. For example, birth certificate, driving license, bank card, tax bills, fines, etc. They can only do business with your legal fiction corporation, not a living man or living woman. City of London is an independent city-state. Vatican City is an independent city-state. Washington, D.C. is an independent city-state. The government made you legally dead and turned you into a slave. You were born free, but the government made your parents give you away to the state, who turned you into a corporation and a slave. This was done by forcing your parents to register your birth with the state. In return, they gave your parents a birth certificate with a certificate number, changed your name from lowercase letters to all capital letters, and gave you a title like Mr. or Mrs., all without full disclosure. This gave the government full control over you and allowed them to give you slave privileges. You can't travel in your motor vehicle without a license. Check your license. Your name will be in capital letters. You have to obey rules when traveling in your car or face penalties and fines. All fines and penalties will be issued to the all-capital letter name. When you open a bank account, They have to use capital letters to do business with you. Check your bank statement and bank card. Your name will be in capital letters. The government unlawfully issue you with a national insurance number without full disclosure. That's fraud. This completes the process of turning you into a slave for the state. You were born a free man or woman. The government turned you into a person. That person was turned into a corporation. You were forced, without consent, to pay taxes. If you don't pay the state what they demand, you may be held captive in prison. You are held in bondage by the state. Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd and 4th edition. Capitis diminutio maxima. The highest or most comprehensive loss of status. This occurred when a man's condition was changed from one of freedom to one of bondage, when he became a slave. It swept away with it all rights of citizenship and all family rights. Corporation. An artificial person or legal entity. Bondage. Slavery. Involuntary personal servitude, captivity. Person. Term may include artificial beings as corporations, quasi-corporations, territorial corporations, and foreign corporations. House of Parliament. Set up for the people by the people. It is a public authority. So why is it a business run for profit? House of Commons. Set up for the people by the people. It is a public authority. So why is it a business run for profit? What about your local MP? Nigel Evans is an MP for the Ribble Valley in Lancashire. A public body for the people, surely not a business. What about Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister who led the people during Brexit? A man for the people, surely not a business. Rishi Sunak, the current Prime Minister 2023. A man for the people, but not elected by the people, surely not a business. Your local council. They demand money and send you bills. A business providing services can't do that without a contract. That's the law. So your local council would not be a business. Would it? Oh, but what's this? Another 376 parent company local councils found. At least the courts are for the people. Like your local magistrate court, the Supreme Court London, or even the International Supreme Court London. Police Constabulary. At least the police are for the people. They are a public body, not a business. Here to serve all living men and living women. Chief Constable, 2021 to present, Chris Rowley. Lancashire Constabulary Headquarters, Saunders Lane, Hutton near Preston, PR45SB. If all constabularies are a registered business, that would mean all constables are nothing more than a corporate employee, like staff at McDonald's are a corporate employee. These corporate employees are armed. These corporate employees are not. These are corporate companies. Hold on, here are another 16 companies using various names like Lancashire Police, Lancashire Constabulary, and using town names. Remember the Clearfield Doctrine? All courts were dissolved in 2008. Under the Clearfield Doctrine, they became registered companies on Dun & Bradstreet Company Search. When private commercial paper is used by corporate government, then government loses its sovereignty status and becomes no different than a mere private corporation. When governments enter the world of commerce, they are subject to the same burdens as any private firm or corporation. It's as simple as this. If a police constable stopped you for no reason, gave you a fine for something that caused no loss, harm, or injury to anyone, you would still pay the fine. A McDonald's employee stops you in the car park. He says, "You walk too fast out of the shop." You receive a fine for walking too fast in McDonald's. Would you pay the fine? Remember, they are both corporations doing business. They both fall under contract laws. Do you have a contract with them?